Beneath the sands of Giza, beyond the grandeur of the pyramids, the legends of long-departed pharaohs, and the weight of 4,500 years of history, something extraordinary may be waiting. This discovery is so deep, vast, and controversial that it has left the archaeological community both stunned and divided. In March 2025, a team of researchers hailing from Italy and Scotland released a new analysis claiming it reveals enormous structures hidden beneath the Giza Plateau. These are not merely chambers or tunnels. The findings include vertical walls stretching over 640 meters, that's 2,100 feet below the surface, spiral staircases, massive enclosures, and perhaps most astonishingly of all, a concealed sarcophagus encircled by water buried more than 180 meters or 600 feet beneath the so-called Tomb of Osiris. If verified, this would represent the most significant discovery ever made on the Giza Plateau. Yet most mainstream experts have dismissed the claim outright. They've labeled it as entirely baseless, unscientific, and even akin to science fiction. Critics argue that current radar technology cannot effectively scan to such depth, that no peer-reviewed studies have validated these claims, and that the entire finding rests on mere speculation. But the team didn't merely claim to have found anomalies. They mapped a structure with forms, depths, and features that appear unmistakably intentional. So, whom and what should we believe? What if the Giza Plateau, already one of the most mysterious places on Earth, sits atop something far older and far stranger than we ever imagined? Let's be really honest for a minute. If I'm having some drinks, I'm probably not waking up the most chipper the next day, you know? Or at least, well, I wasn't until I discovered Zbiotics pre-alcohol probiotic. This is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic built by PhD scientists. They have giant brains, specifically to handle the rough mornings that tend to follow a night out. They do, don't they, those rough mornings? There's sometimes turn into a rough afternoon, depending on how hard you hit it. So here's how it works. When you drink, your body creates a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's not dehydration. That byproduct is the real issue that's making you feel a little bit shit. Zbiotics is designed to break that down. It produces an enzyme that tackles the problem where it starts, so you're not paying for it the next day. All you have to do, you drink Zbiotics first, before your first drink of the night, and then keep things responsible, alright? And that's it. I've actually tried this. They sent me a bunch of it as a sample, and I went on a trip with a mate of mine, and we were like, let's test this out. And we drank the Zbiotics, and then we drank. And we drank a bit more. And then the next day we felt pretty darn good. Look, there's a link in the description below. Use it to get 15% off your first order. You get free shipping, and they've got a 100% money back guarantee. So you've really got nothing to lose by giving it a try, but oh, so much to gain. And now back to today's episode. What the radar revealed. To grasp why this discovery has sparked such controversy, we must look beyond the claims and delve literally deeper underground in Giza than anyone has ever before. Now, at the heart of this debate is a team of researchers led by Corrado Malanga, forensic expert Nicole Sicolo, Egyptologist Armando Mai, and physicist Filippo Biondi. They employed a method known as synthetic aperture radar, or SAR, sending high-frequency electromagnetic pulses deep beneath the Giza Plateau. Now, this isn't your ordinary ground-penetrating radar. According to the team, SAR, which utilizes satellites, can peer into the Earth to hundreds or even thousands of feet. Their analysis of the data, they claim, has revealed some staggering results. First, they discovered 8 cylindrical wells, each measuring between 10 and 12 meters or 33 to 39 feet in diameter. These wells extended over 640 meters or 2,100 feet straight down beneath the base of the Khafra pyramid. Encircling these shafts are spiral formations, which the researchers interpret as helical staircases, suggesting that they serve as access points to an immense underground system. From these wells, the scan revealed 2 massive rectangular enclosures, each approximately 80 meters or 260 feet on each side. Beneath these structures, the radar detected further formations descending another 600 meters or 2,000 feet, bringing the total depth of the complex to over 1,200 meters or 4,000 feet. For perspective, this depth is roughly 1.5 times the height of the Burj Khalifa, or just over 3 times the height of the Empire State Building. Then came the image that made all the headlines. A shaft beneath the so-called Tomb of Osiris, a symbolic site long believed to represent the entrance to the underworld. and it appears to lead to a chamber 200 meters, 656 feet below the surface, which may contain a sarcophagus surrounded by flowing water. Sicolo, who interpreted the results, described areas of high-density reflection, striations resembling steps or terraces, and distinct boundaries that suggest constructed architecture rather than mere geological formations. She compared some of these formations to ancient well systems such as the Pozzo di San Patrizio in Italy, known for its spiral staircase descending deep into the rock. The team asserts a confidence level above 85% that these structures, wells, rooms, and enclosures are genuine. They also point out that the radar successfully mapped known structures within the Tomb of Osiris, thereby proving its accuracy. And here's the part that's really going to blow your mind. They believe that these structures are about 38,000 years old, making them over 25,000 years older than any previously known human-made structures. It's no wonder then that the world is paying attention. You see, if they're right, this isn't just another archaeological site. It's a doorway into a chapter of human history that we never knew existed. Tomb of the Birds. Now, long before the discovery of a vast underground city made headlines, an earlier finding hinted at hidden structures beneath the Giza Plateau. In the late 1970s, a collaboration between the Stanford Research Institute and Ain Shams University in Cairo carried out ground-penetrating radar studies on the plateau. Their work revealed voids and suggested the existence of artificial chambers beneath the second pyramid, Khafre's. Although these results were never fully explored, the possibility of hidden structures persisted. Then in 2008, British historian Andrew Collins and researcher Nigel Skinner-Simpson brought attention to a little-known tomb carved into the North Cliff of the Giza Plateau. Officially designated North Cliff Tomb 2, locals came to call it the Tomb of Birds, a name inspired by ancient accounts that described the discovery of mummified birds inside its walls. But what Collins encountered was more than just a tomb. Beyond the engravings and burial chambers, a narrow crawl space led to a natural cave system extending southward under the plateau. These passages, referred to by some as Collins's Caves, seemed to head in the direction of the second pyramid, the very structure now linked to the seminal 2025 radar discovery. Satellite data dating back to 2007, including observations from the Terrace-RX mission, suggested the presence of subsurface voids extending in that same direction. Some researchers now propose that these natural caves could intersect or even form the uppermost reaches of the deeper vertical shafts and chambers identified in more recent studies. So could the Tomb of Birds represent a forgotten access point to this deeper system? Well, Collins believed that the caves held a profound spiritual significance connected to the ancient concept of the Duat, Egypt's underworld. If the recent findings are verified, they might lend support to his theory that Giza was not merely a burial ground, but a multi-layered monument built atop a sacred site of immense antiquity. Whether created by nature, intention, or a combination of both, this obscure cave may ultimately prove to be more than a footnote in Egyptology. It might serve as the first gateway into the greatest underground mystery of the ancient world. The Gods, the Tomb, and the Lost Civilization. The Giza Plateau has always been more than just stone and sand. For the ancient Egyptians, it was a sacred ground, a place where the earthly realm intersected with the divine, a realm of gods, judgment, and the journey into the afterlife. At the core of that mythology was the underworld, known as the Duat. It was believed to lie beneath the earth, a realm where souls were tested, where gods like Osiris reigned, and where knowledge could pass between worlds. This concept was more than a mere metaphor. The very name, Giza, Rostau in ancient Egyptian, translates to mouth of the passages, underscoring that for them it was literally an entrance into the earth. And this brings us to the Tomb of Osiris. Traditionally regarded as the symbolic burial site for the god of the afterlife, the rock-cut shaft descends over 30 meters or 100 feet underground. Ancient texts describe its multiple levels, stairs, and chambers, some flooded, others dry. Now researchers claim that a newly detected vertical shaft beneath the tomb leads even deeper, descending to a sarcophagus-like object. Whether symbolic or real, the resonance with Egyptian cosmology is hard to ignore. And then there are the texts. The team behind the recent discovery cites chapter 149 of the Book of the Dead, which speaks of 14 divine dwellings, mystical places that souls must pass through on their journey to the afterlife. They believe these may not be mere allegories, but literal locations. They also reference the Turin King List, a controversial document that lists not only pharaohs, but also rulers said to be gods and demigods, figures who ruled Egypt long before the first dynasties took shape. While mainstream Egyptology dismisses these accounts as pure myth, this team argues that they might represent genuine historical memory. And if that sounds familiar, it definitely should. Tales of lost civilizations, god kings, and cataclysmic floods appear in cultures all over the world. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes is revered as a supposed relic of divine wisdom. The Hall of Records, an enigmatic library, has long been rumored to lie hidden beneath the Sphinx or the pyramids themselves. Meanwhile, the serpent El Hanash features in local folklore as the guardian of a vast underground world, one that reportedly blinds any who dare to enter. The researchers believe these stories were not merely fantasy, but fragments passed down through time, echoes of a pre-dynastic civilization destroyed in a forgotten cataclysm whose legacy was quite literally buried beneath the monuments of dynastic Egypt. The skeptics. Now, not everyone is convinced. In fact, as soon as these findings were made public, the backlash was swift and fierce. Prominent archaeologists and geophysicists quickly voiced their concerns, labeling the entire project unscientific, baseless, and outright fantasy. One of the leading critics is Professor Lawrence Conyers, a radar expert from the University of Denver who brings decades of field experience using ground-penetrating radar in archaeology. Professor Conyers argues that the idea of radar detecting structures thousands of feet underground simply does not hold up. Quoting him, "Radar can only penetrate around 30 to 40 feet, maybe a bit more depending on the conditions, but not 2,000 feet and certainly not 4,000. Even more damning were the concerns raised by Egypt's own authorities. Zahi Hawass, the former Minister of Antiquities, dismissed the claims outright, quoting him here, "The use of radar inside the pyramid is false. The techniques are neither scientifically approved nor validated." Mamdouh al-Damati, another former Antiquities minister, echoed this sentiment, describing the press conference as a publicity stunt that lacked any genuine archaeological foundation. Hussein Abdul Basir, Director General of the Giza Pyramids area, pushed his criticism further by highlighting that the team skipped basic scientific protocols. There was no peer-reviewed study, no independent replication, and no formal excavation. Only images, data, interpretations, and bold assertions. He also flagged concerns regarding one of the researchers, Corrado Malanga, who has a history of publishing work on UFOs and extraterrestrial encounters. When you introduce that kind of thinking into archaeology, Abdul Basir warned, "You're not doing science, you're promoting conspiracy." Even some skeptics acknowledge that ancient peoples often built atop sacred or symbolic geological features. Conyers, for instance, pointed to Mesoamerican cultures that constructed pyramids over natural caves, possibly to mark entrances to the underworld. He concedes that there could be minor structures beneath Giza. However, he argues they would not constitute a 4,000-foot deep city. And this is the central divide. Critics are not rejecting the possibility of underground features beneath the Giza Plateau, but they are challenging the scale, the depth, and the methods used to claim their existence. There has been no excavation, no physical sample, and no published study, only radar images, proprietary algorithms, and interpretations. The pushback from mainstream archaeologists focuses not just on skepticism, but on maintaining rigorous standards. In archaeology, claims require evidence that is physical, peer-reviewed, and repeatable. The deeper and bolder the claim, the stronger the proof must be. It raises alarm bells when researchers release extraordinary findings through media channels without excavation, publication, or the support of verified technology. To scholars like Zahi Hawass or Hussein Abdul Basir, the idea of a 38,000-year-old underground city beneath Giza doesn't merely stretch credibility, it threatens to upend the very foundations of Egyptology. Their apprehension is not simply about being wrong, it's about the prospect of centuries of painstaking work being dismissed as mere speculation, sensationalism, or even pseudoscience. Yet this reaction also reveals something deeper, a profound discomfort with the unknown. History is rich with civilizations that have risen, thrived, and eventually vanished, from Minoans, wiped out by volcanic disaster, to the Maya, whose cities were eventually swallowed by the jungle, to Göbekli Tepe, an entire megalithic site that was intentionally buried for reasons that we still don't understand. Collapse is not an anomaly in human history, and neither is forgetting. Thus, when alternative researchers suggest that a lost civilization existed before Egypt's pharaohs and might have left traces beneath the Giza Plateau, it isn't that the idea is impossible. It's simply unsettling. For if we missed something of that magnitude, what else might we have overlooked? Civilization before history. Okay, so let's set aside our skepticism for just a moment and allow our imaginations to run wild. What if this new research is accurate? What if the chambers, wells, and tunnels beneath the Giza Plateau truly do exist? Imagine a forgotten world hidden beneath our most iconic monuments, a world that has remained untouched for tens of thousands of years. Consider this. 38,000 years ago, humanity was still in the Paleolithic era. Most people led nomadic lives. There were no cities, writing systems, or agriculture. In contrast, the oldest known monument site on Earth, Göbekli Tepe, dates back just 12,000 years. If these claims do hold true, these underground structures would completely rewrite the human timeline. As noted earlier, the researchers rely not only on radar scans for dating, but also on their interpretation of ancient Egyptian texts. This includes the Turin King List, which records gods and demigods as rulers long before the first dynasties, as well as chapter 149 of the Book of the Dead. They argue these were not merely stories, but literal memories of a lost civilization, one that may have been wiped out by a cataclysm, perhaps even the same one linked to the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. This theory posits an asteroid strike around 12,800 years ago, which triggered global climate chaos. It is a controversial idea that is sure to ruffle some feathers, yet similar stories appear worldwide. In myths from Sumer, Greece, India, Mesoamerica, and even the Bible, there are accounts of advanced cultures destroyed by fire, flood, or celestial wrath. Ancient Egypt even had a term for the era before this period of Zep Tepi, translating as the first time, or the period before known history. And even if these are myths, why do so many of them point to the same event? Could the Giza Plateau have been a sacred site long before the pyramids were built? Might Khufu's pyramid have been constructed atop something far older as a mark of reverence, a tomb not only for kings, but for memory itself? Well, some mainstream scholars suggest that ancient sites were chosen for symbolic reasons, be it alignments, geology, or resonance. But what if these sites were selected because of what lay beneath them? What if Giza's true purpose was not solely to reach for the heavens, but to also guard something buried far below? Beneath the sand. In the end, this is a story of two worlds, one above, the Giza we know, with its pyramids, temples, and the sunlit glory of ancient Egypt, and one below, a dark, disputed, and hidden realm, a network of claims and questions, radar pulses, and ancient echoes that form a mysterious underground narrative. Today, these two worlds exist in parallel. One is etched in stone, the other mapped in data, and between them lies a chasm, not made of rock, but belief. This divide fuels an archaeological conflict that has simmered for some time. The establishment versus those who see the possibility of lost ancient civilizations. Skeptics say it's science fiction, that radar can't see that deep. Without excavation, all of this is simply noise, they say. Yet researchers claim they've discovered not merely voids, but structure, form, geometry, purpose. Beneath it all lies the possibility of a civilization lost in time, hidden under a pyramid. It's easy to dismiss such claims, easier still to sensationalize them, but it's much harder to sit with the unknown and let the mystery in. Perhaps these discoveries will turn out to be nothing more than shadow and error, or maybe beneath the sands of Giza, there really is something ancient waiting to be revealed, something waiting that is about to change everything. Thank you for watching.